All right, ready to go. 3, 2, and 1. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool.
Sean. It's going to be a fun episode today. We're going to be digging into a classic marketing book.
Yes.
You have to wipe the dust off of this one as you pull it off the shelf.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, there's some real hidden gems in this book. It is the 21 ways, or first of all, the title is Getting Everything You Can Out of All You Got by
Yes.
J. Abraham. 21 ways to get, or you can outthink, outperform, and out-earn your competition by one of the world's greatest marketing experts alive.
Yes.
According to Success.
And this book was written, I bet there's at least a couple of listeners who are younger than this book.
Oh,
This book was
absolutely
published in 2000.
It was.
So
I somehow got.
That's a quarter of a century ago.
Look at that. I got an advanced reading copy.
What? It's you, man. Mine is not.
Advanced reading copy. That's probably worth something. I got to check that out.
Yeah. But if you look at mine, let's see.
Oh, look at that. You got all the tabs.
Look at the water. Like it's got, water spilled on it somewhere. Like it's been through the ringer.
So this is it, man. We're digging into this because you can always learn from the classics. And there are some really good takeaways that we're going to be talking about. You can apply to your business. And it's things that people don't talk about today in the age of social media and, in this digital age. But man, these are real solid things that anyone can implement and really grow their business big time.
And that's the foundation of what you hear a lot of online marketers talk about. I mean, this is where they got a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Is from J. Abraham. And he doesn't get enough credit. I mean, there's other marketers, even older marketers, to get more credit. But I think J. Abraham, most marketers, if you sit down and talk to them, they'll tell you how big of an influence J. Abraham had on them. Him, Dan Kennedy, a couple other people, but those are probably two of the biggest for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And David Ogilvy would be the third.
Oh yeah,
go back even further.
Right.
So yeah, good stuff.
And as the title says, it's all about using what you got. It's 21 ways to beat the competition in your business by working with the assets that you have, but you really haven't considered, right?
Yes.
I mean, we all have things, untapped assets in our business that we're just not utilizing. And so this book is all about like, okay, here's something that you might not have thought of, or here's something that you can utilize that you're really not right now.
Yeah, and I was flipping back through this, and then we'll jump into our beverages. But early in the introduction, he said, much of this book is focused on how you can improve your business life and career, but the strategies also work in virtually any area of your life where you need to persuade others to accept your position or ideas. Mm-hmm. And he goes on and tells more about it. But so this is not just a business building book, but this is a relationship building book, like all kinds of stuff happening in this book. That once you learn these principles, you can do a lot of things with it for sure.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. And so we'll jump into that. But first, we've got some beverages to take care of.
We do.
And from our friends at Rivalry Brews. That's rivalrybrews.com.
Yep.
We ordered a lot of good stuff. So far, everything's been pretty good. I mean, the last episode was, I don't know. It wasn't terrible, but.
No, it wasn't terrible, but we have pretty high standards around here. So
that's right. That's right.
It was good. It was just not quite, I think, what either of us were expecting. But you can see when you go to their site, rivalrybrews.com, they deal with a bunch of different breweries up around the Great Lakes region of Ohio.
Yep.
So this is stuff you may not be able to get where you are. Mm-hmm. And you just go in here and you pick out your stuff. And if you spend $75, they'll give you free shipping. They ship we each got a case of more than a case. I got 10 different beers. I got 2 of each of 10 different beers. So for like $100, like I can't even get in and out of HEB because you can get singles. You don't need
Yeah,
to,
the
you don't have to buy
singles.
4-packs or 6-packs or any of that kind of stuff. So I think it's a really cool find, and hopefully we can find something like this for other parts of the country as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what do you have?
So it's important to know we don't have the same. We've had the same the last few episodes, but not today. We've got a couple of different ones.
Yes.
So I'll start with mine. I have a from the Arche Brewing Company. I guess that's Arche. Let me see. Pull it back up. Yeah, Arche Brewing Company out of Akron, Ohio.
Yep.
I've got their 2021 Candy Cane Milk Stout. Where's the camera? Oh, there it is. Candy Cane Milk Stout.
Yeah.
Boom. Oh, okay. There you go. Right there. 8% ABV, 28%, 28 IBUs. Should be good. I mean, this would be a really good, I would think this would be a great holiday, holiday beer.
Yeah. Definitely has that holiday look to it in the can and
the candy canes and stuff like that. But I'm excited to try it because I like I like those minty, kind of a little hint of minty and chocolate, especially around the winter time. So I don't think it's too late for that, man. So I'm excited to dig in.
I wonder when the candy cane is going to do a better job of cashing in on other holidays. A lot of candies have gone from like
it's
Peeps,
typecast, man.
like
it's
Peeps.
Typecast. It is locked in. It's
the marshmallow Peeps, they were just Easter, and now they've got like stars for 4th of July. They've got Halloween ones. Like they really branched out, and I'm waiting for the candy cane to break
candy
out.
Cane is been, like I said, man. He is a Typecast.
But you could do
is like Christmas.
You could do white and gold for New Year's. You could do green and white for St. Patrick's Day. Red, white, and blue for 4th of July. Like there's so many opportunities, and that's something that Jay Abraham would talk about.
That's right. I mean,
it's exactly the kind of stuff
with all of the candy that is consumed around Halloween, it never even gets I mean, it's not even on the radar.
It's not. But you could make a black and orange candy cane that tastes like whatever, pumpkin spice. There you go. And then you could drop it in your pumpkin spice latte and it melts. Oh,
there you go. Oh, you could just hang it over the glass of your.
Yes.
I mean, that makes total sense. But
I
don't know. So, you're right. That's a Jay Abrahamism right there.
I know.
How come you're not taking advantage of those opportunities?
I need to call up the candy cane companies next week and start making that happen. So.
I got to mention though, Sean, this is not only a candy cane milk stout. This is a candy cane Oreo pie pastry milk stout.
What?
Yeah.
Does it say all that on there? Wow. Well, look at this.
Oreo pie milk stout.
Oh, I brought an Oreo to the show. 2 of them actually, because I wanted it to go with my Imperial Stout.
Oh man, you got me salivating. I love Oreos.
All right, so I've got on my end, I've got an Imperial Stout from Double Wing Brewing, same company we had on the last episode. But this is we went from porter to an Imperial Stout. This is rich, dark, and creamy with a combination of coffee and chocolate flavors. 2 of my favorite things in the world. This is like the trifecta: beer, coffee, and chocolate. It's like I don't know what else you can ask for in life.
Yeah.
9.2% ABV. I have no idea on the IBUs. It doesn't say, I don't think, anywhere on the can. No. So a little bit real beer, real local, real Ohio. That's all it says on the can. So all right. I've got mine poured. Like? Very dark. Not as much of a head as yours.
No.
But
could have something to do with the pour. All right, here we go. How's it? Ooh, oh man.
Mine has very little smell, actually. Surprising for a coffee. That smells good.
This smells like a junior mint.
You're being like primed by the smell.
Oh, this is really good.
Hope it lives up to the smell.
You know those junior mints that you get?
Oh, yes. I love junior mints. That's my go-to movie candy.
Oh, man. This smells like junior mints. All right. I got to sip this.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's interesting. Wow, the smell doesn't match the, the notes, the aroma does not match the taste.
Oh, that's a letdown. You're halfway through the glass though, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be fair, but man, I had high hopes there. Well, unfortunately, sometimes the expectations or the results don't meet the expectations in life, and
yeah,
I'm
sometimes your marketing's on point, your naming, everything's good, smell and then boom, a little bit of a letdown.
Okay. All right, why don't you go first? Because
all right, I'm going to give for an Imperial Stout, I think this is really good. It's not as much coffee as I would like, but it's still a very good Imperial Stout. So I'm going to go 4.5 on this one. Strong score.
Oh, that's good.
It's got the right sweetness that I would expect from a 9% Imperial Stout. So I'm not surprised by that. But I do wish it had a little bit more coffee to kind of even out the sweetness a little bit. So, but still very, very good. Now I'm going to give this a 4.5.
Very good.
So, now that you've got half the glass already done, as you try to decide,
I'm gonna have to give this a 3 too, because I'm I like I said, it had a strong opening with the smell is just amazing, but the aftertaste is not good. I don't like the aftertaste. So I'm going to give it a 3 too. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not what I was expecting. So a little disappointed there, but it's not I think the initial taste is actually pretty pleasant, but then as you know, swirl it around and that aftertaste feel afterward is just it's kind of I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of just flat.
Oh, that's such a letdown, man. All right, well, let's move on. Let's get you excited again. Move on to J. Abrams Book. So here's the guy we're talking about. I'm going to add this real quick. So this is J. Abraham. The 21
he never ages, does he?
I know he's looked that way since I've known about him 20 years ago, at least. Who knows? That could be maybe that's his realtor picture. He looks nothing. Now he's 600 pounds and looks older.
Was he in real estate too? I mean, no. I know he used to be in chemicals. I mean,
I don't think he was in real estate, but that's what realtors do. They use the same picture from the day they get their license for the rest of their life.
That's right.
No offense to realtors out there, but if you're doing that,
they do. It's so common. You're like, whoa, wait.
And if you're doing that as a realtor out there, or anybody, if you're not updating your pictures, it's going to be like the beer Jonathan's drinking.
Yeah.
There's going to be a letdown when they see you in person. Yeah, exactly. Unless you've gotten better looking like I have over time. Because, I mean, then you get the opposite effect.
You're going to, everything's going to be, it's going to seem great. And then you go in for the visual and it's like, oh man, what? Wait a minute now. Okay.
So this is the guy we're talking about, Abraham.com. He has a lot of, I'll have to see if I can find it while we're talking, but he's got a section on here. Maybe it's the Knowledge Center collections, where you can get a lot of his stuff for free.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
in fact, you can get the book stuff. The book we're talking about, you can get it for free. I mean, the PDF.
Gratis resources. Here it is. So profit.resources.access, dash. So these are things that people have paid a lot of money for on this page here. And we can post that in the notes as well.
Yep.
In fact, I'll go ahead and grab it and put it on the banner while we're talking. So, but I'll remove that and we can start talking about it.
All right. So classic book. I tell you, I'll start with some of my takeaways. Some of the strategies that really stand out to me. And that's, do you want me to go ahead and start?
Yeah.
All right.
Tear it up.
and some of these are just reminders of what we need to do, but offering the risk-free guarantee, better than risk, what he calls the better than risk-free guarantee, reducing your customer's risk with less than zero. So, we talked about, having a risk-free guarantee. What's the biggest concern that keeps your customer from buying anything? And it's this, how can I be 100% certain that this will be worth the money that I spend? The obvious answer is you can't guarantee. Spending money always inherently bears some risk, and you'll have a negative return. You may have a negative return. However, if you incorporate a better, or what he calls a better than risk-free guarantee, that alleviates a lot of the fears that people have. So he talks about, he uses some examples. I think let's see, let me pull this up here. I've got the digital book pulled up in front of me. It says Jay's BT. What does he call it? The BT. He calls the Jay's BTRF guarantee comes in the better than a risk-free. Let's see. This doesn't just compensate customers for their loss of money by returning it in full, but goes out to make amends for the wasted time and effort that they put into using your product. So,
and that's a great point, because it's not always about the money for people. It's like, if I sign up for this course, or if I buy a new lawnmower, whatever it is, right? It's not just me spending the money.
Right.
It's, am I going to be frustrated with the experience? Am I going to have to spend time and energy I wasn't expecting because I thought this thing was going to make my life easier? Because that's why we buy most everything we buy, right? Yep. It's going to make it easier and more pleasurable in some way.
Yep.
More efficient, at least. So if it doesn't do that, that's the real loss. It's not the money.
No. And as you move up an income level, that's, people are more they're more value conscious of their time than just what they spent. The fact that you've got to go back, if you're not pleased with it, the time that you've got to, spend, yes, with the, getting a refund and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, to me, that's the frustrating time. That's the most frustrating part of any transaction that you're not happy with. It's not so much that you're not happy with the product, but the time that you have to go back and deal with all of the, time that's spent in, getting that refund. So,
and making a new buying decision. Now you got to find the next product that, it might work for you. And now you've got even more doubt in the process. Like, all these things add up.
Right.
So if you can give them some good confidence going in, obviously that makes it a lot better. So what are some of the examples he gives?
So Tim Ferriss, one thing that he does on his supplements, I don't know if you've ever purchased any of the supplements that Tim Ferriss recommends, but he talks about the 110% money back guarantee for his supplements. So instead of offering 100%, you're getting 110% back, if you're not completely satisfied. So some restaurants will give you coupons if they, another example, some restaurants will give you coupons if they deliver the food late, or you have to go back, and if, they waste your time in any way. So, the big thing is figuring out how that you can compensate people for more. And sometimes it's not necessarily money, but a way that you can compensate them for, for the time that they've spent. If they're not completely satisfied, you got to get creative in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, it's important. It's not just money. So it's not always like double your money back. That was popular for a while.
Yep.
Which is a good incentive for some people. But yeah, like you said, letting them know that the fact is most people aren't going to need the refund.
Right.
And a lot of people this is one of the things that Jay Abraham made famous, is like, the stronger your guarantee, you'll create so many more sales that the number of people who take you up on the guarantee is still pretty small. A lot of people think the stronger your guarantee, and especially the longer your guarantee, the more people take you up on it. It's actually the opposite. It's what he's proven time and time again. So don't be afraid to make your guarantee super strong, because the stronger and more certain you are about your product and service, the more people will be like, one, they'll give it a try, and two, they'll probably blame themselves instead of you if the product doesn't work for them. So
absolutely.
that's kind of he doesn't really go into that, but that is true about what's happening with people is like, well, they guaranteed it like, all these different ways. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
And you'd rather use the product. I'm not saying build your product just and guarantee just so people say that. But it is good to know that the stronger your guarantee, you doesn't mean you're going to have a lot more refunds. You won't.
No. In fact, it'd probably be the opposite. And if you do, like, I'll tell you, I got an example I'll use. It was last week. So I bought it was a digital product from a guy. And here's a great lesson from the power of, marketing and podcasting. But, I got two teenagers. I listened to a podcast that a guy does out there it's based on parenting teenagers. And it's all about, celebrating calm, being calm, maintaining, how to, how to make it through those teenage years and be calm, and how to deal with your teenagers. You got all these different personalities, going on, and, you got hormones and all this stuff going, and teenagers, they're not, when they become teenagers, they're completely different from the kids that you knew at one time. So, but you've got to deal with teenagers in a different way. And so I've been, that's been one of my goals, is to understand from their standpoint, both of their unique personalities and how I can deal with them, according to their own personalities. But there's a guy out there. He's got a very good podcast that I listen to on a regular basis. He advertises a lot of his audio products that I have bought several of them on different aspects of parenting teenagers. Anyway, make a long story short, I made a purchase just a couple of weeks ago. I was listening to his podcast, and he mentioned a couple of the products that he's got. And immediately after I was out walking in the neighborhood listening to his podcast. It was on a Sunday afternoon. I got back to the house, and immediately I went and made a purchase. And lo and behold, I remembered I purchased 2 audio courses from his website. Well, I had forgotten that I'd already purchased one. Like, one of them, how people can make things sound like so good, that you think it's a completely different thing that you already bought. And so I bought it twice. So
it's good marketing right there.
So it was great marketing. But the next, I sent him a quick email. I was like, listen, it's no big deal. You guys do great. You don't have to give me a refund, but I ordered this twice. If you get a chance, if you could credit, I'll buy something back. Well, they immediately responded. His customer service. In fact, it's his son that works for him in customer service, but he immediately responded within an hour or so that said, I've credited back the full refund. And here's a special link that you can buy our whole library. That means everything that we've got for the same price that I just credited you back. So if you want to go there. So what do you think I did? You go back and buy the whole library, because that's a great move on their part. That it's like, oh man, that's awesome. So they weren't out any money. In fact, they did credit back, but the fact that they gave me a link that I could buy everything in their library for the same price that they just gave me the credit back for, it made me trust in them even more. I went back, and I'm going to spend more money with them. So that's just one example of, giving that better than risk-free, because he understood, he didn't have to. It was my mistake. It wasn't their mistake. It was my mistake. I bought it twice. But they were more than generous, and it came back, double for them, because I'm going to come back and buy even more stuff. So
absolutely. So I found, so I was flipping through, and in chapter 3, he has this list of questions that you can go through, and I tell you, it's 50 questions.
Yeah.
says, by simply answering these questions, you will gain vast insights into the strengths and weakness of your business or career. Answer the questions on a company and a personal career level. This is just a great list. I don't care how established you are, how well you're doing. You go through this list and you'll start getting at these questions. You're like, oh, I forgot that we could do that, or that I forgot that that's even worth talking about, like all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So in my copy, it's on page 50, but, questions like, and this is really timely because I was talking to a new client yesterday, and I was like, okay, I need, it's a supplement. So I was like, I need the ingredients list. I need to know why you picked, I need a document that says why you guys picked those ingredients.
Right. Yeah.
Like, if you've got any documentation on the first few meetings between the founders of why they started the brand, like the whole backstory, the origin story.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you don't have it, then we'll get on a call and do an interview type thing.
Right.
But, and this question number one was, what initially got me started in my business or career? When I first started, where did my clients' promotions progress come from? Which is great. I thought that was a great question by itself, because, you get 5-10 years down the road in your business and you may be doing something totally different as far as marketing than what worked when you started. And you could probably go back to what you did in the beginning. It may be a little more time intensive, but maybe you have a junior person on your team that could start doing that again, because it worked on some level, and it's probably even more powerful now that you're established.
Right.
I think about, whether you're, knocking on doors, doing seminars, whatever it might be, webinars, all that kind of stuff. Why did clients originally buy from me? Why do clients buy from me now?
Yeah.
Which could be two very different questions.
Easily.
Yeah. What primary method of generating clients was used to build my business? It just goes, 50 different questions. I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's literally 4 pages of questions that you could take either yourself or your core team, and you could do a weekend retreat and go through these 50 questions.
Yeah.
And absolutely change your business, like with the answers and the insights and everything else you would get from those 50 questions. And you probably couldn't even, in a weekend, couldn't even get through all the questions. Like, there's just so much gold, and that's a good indicator of like getting everything you can out of all you've got. The title of the book is like, you don't have to reinvent and do things new necessarily. You just need to understand what you've already got and how to use it better, and maybe go back to even some things that you did in the past that you've forgotten about.
Sure. Yeah.
Because you're trying all these new things, but there's actually this one tactic that worked really well, and you just stopped doing it, because that's what we'd like to do as humans. Is like, oh, that was working, let me do something else.
Yeah, exactly. Let's try something new, because we love the nuance.
Or we've complicated things so much that if we just went back and made it simpler again,
right,
it would be more effective. So that was a big one for me, going back to those list of questions. I'm like, oh man, I need to send this list to my clients and just answer all these questions. Make my job easy.
Yeah. And it's amazing what you can pull, the information that you can pull just from those questions alone. Another one is creating win-win relationships. And we've talked about this. Great example of what we've talked about recently is Naked Wines. Where he talks about creating those relationships with businesses that are related to yours, but not direct competitors.
Yes.
And, Naked Wines has been killing it, I guess. I wonder, it makes me wonder what else they're, cross-selling into. We got apparel. What was the company that you're
HelloFresh, which makes a lot of
that makes more sense than athletic apparel.
But again, like we talked about with like fan gear, those are people who probably really enjoy a game, spend time on the weekends, tailgating, things like that. So I could see how that could be. You're not going to your average sports fan. You're going to a sports fan that spends $50-$100 on clothing.
Right.
Let's face it, fan clothing is crazy overpriced just because of the licensing and everything else. It's
Oh
like,
yeah, exactly. Just
know,
putting that logo on there just kicks the price up another 20
yeah. So if
bucks.
you've got people that are willing to spend that, they're probably a different level of fan. They're celebrating more. So yeah, I could see how that
Yeah.
fits. But the HelloFresh is like, to me, and they're
Oh,
probably
it's
doing Blue Apron and everybody else.
absolutely.
That's perfect. Like,
Yeah.
you're already preparing a meal. You obviously care about how the meal comes out, because, you're not just throwing together hamburger helper. You're buying a meal service. So
Yep.
when they start putting it in hamburger helper, then I'll be really surprised. But
yeah, I don't think you're going to see that. I could be
tuna,
wrong.
maybe in tuna helper. I don't know. So yeah. So,
but
yeah,
it's all
there's
about, figuring out which products or services your customers buy.
Yeah, in that whole journey,
alongside
like
what they purchase from you, and then strategically building those alliances with businesses out there, and have them recommend you. I mean, there's so many win-win relationships that you can make with companies that, are not direct competitors of you, that are,
yeah, and
looking for ways. There's a win-win.
and it doesn't cost HelloFresh or
Yeah.
Fanatics
No.
any money to drop that card in there. I mean, it doesn't really cost them anything. I mean, they're
Mhm.
already packaging stuff. They just throw the envelope in there
Yep.
with the card in it, and
Yep.
they're good to go. And you get the experience of like, oh, cool, $100 voucher, even if I never use it.
Yep.
Well, that's
Exactly.
cool. Like if I wanted wine, that would be cool.
Mhm.
But I'm personally not a wine drinker. I know you are.
Yep. Yep.
So it's kind of cool. So yeah, definitely those type of and those opportunities are everywhere.
Everywhere. You think about realtors, people in the mortgage industry, how they can, cross sell, with landscaping companies and,
Home
all sorts of home
inspections,
inspections. I
pest
mean, this is
control.
unlimited. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I've seen when we lived up in Dallas, back, it's been a while since we lived up there, but we bought a house back there, and some of the big home builders in Dallas, because there's so much building.
Yeah.
And they actually had the home builder had a mortgage company, they had a pest control company, they had a lawn care company, and they just like sent you right down the line and captured all that business. So that's not even a win-win. That's just building new businesses off of the same customer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But if you don't want to do that, which requires a lot of stuff, you could certainly refer people out. And I think this is where a lot of people miss it. You can do that either free or you can do it for a percentage.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, are afraid to ask for a percentage. But I promise you, the lawn care guy is already spending money on advertising. He's going to be happy to give you a 10% referral fee or 20% referral fee for a much stronger lead than he might get from a magazine insert or flyer in the mailbox or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
So you're doing them a favor. You're not.
Oh yeah. Always. I do a little bit of it. I would say more of the, when it comes to podcasting, a couple of my industry shows, I do a lot of cross selling with our trade show organizations where I promote. It's kind of a win-win because obviously they promote me financially from a big extent, and then they promote me on their websites and their news articles, in their trade journals. They promote my podcast, but it's a win-win because I also promote, the association. I read their ads. I talk about all of the latest news events with the association, what's going on this particular date. I mean, I read those, on the podcast. So it's a win-win. I tell them, I'm promoting the industry trade association, and they're, vice versa, promoting our podcast. So it's like, it's back and forth. So we're with, each promoting each other within our industry, and it's helping, to grow. So,
and it gives you a authority, when you're the podcast guy and you're associated with the industry's number one
exactly.
membership. So like,
That's right.
It's all kinds of win-win for everybody. Another section I found that I thought was really cool and I'd kind of forgotten about was chapter 12, the prodigal client. And this is one in general, companies get overly focused on customer acquisition
Mm-hmm.
and not keeping customers happy and communicating with existing customers.
Yeah.
Right. Like every marketing program out there is selling how to get more customers, not
Mm-hmm.
there's a few that are offering, I guess, how to sell more to existing customers, but
Sure.
not many are doing actually how to keep your current customers happy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because that's just not as sexy as getting new customers. But he started going through some of the stats. I know this is an old book, but I guarantee these stats have not changed. If anything, they're probably worse
Right.
because it's easier now to switch than ever before. But he said, if you lose 20% of your clients a year, you have to add 30% more clients just to get to 10% increase in sales. So if you want to maintain 10% increase in sales and you lose 20% of your clients, that means you got to get 30% in your marketing every year.
Right.
Which is a huge hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
But then he started going through some of the stats. The average business will hear nothing from 96% of unhappy clients who experience rude or discourteous treatment.
Mm-hmm.
They just go away.
Mm.
This one reminded me of what you just said. Of the clients who register a complaint, up to 70% will do business with the organization again if their complaint is resolved. And that's,
absolutely.
your story earlier is a perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm.
The figure goes up to 95% if the client feels the problem was resolved quickly,
Mm-hmm.
which you said also.
Yeah. Quickly, fast.
Yeah.
Like within the hour, done.
Yes. Only 4% of unhappy clients bother to complain. I mean, that's a little scary because there's a lot of really good data that you can mine from there.
Mm-hmm.
But most people are too scared to ask why clients are leaving.
Yeah. Right.
But the fact is, if I leave a company and they reach out and ask me, I'm happy to tell them. And it actually makes me respect the company more because I'm still a little upset that maybe they didn't notice. But when they notice you leave,
right,
it kind of feels good. It's like, oh, they noticed I'm not there anymore. And with tracking and everything else, there's no reason you shouldn't know when a customer leaves and stops ordering.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
I'll give you an example. I have a supplement that I bought, and you have to. One thing I don't like is you have to call in to the cancel, but I totally get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get on the phone, when I tried to cancel the first time, they're like, "Sure, I can process that order for you, but before you go, we can give you half off for as long as you stay on with us." And I was like, "Okay, I'll try it for a little longer for half off." Sure, and they kept me for another couple of months, and I called again. They're like, if you're not sure and you want to try some other brands, because that's what I told them. They're like, that's fine. We can just pause your subscription for 3 months.
Absolutely.
While you try it, and that way you can lock in your existing price. You don't have to start over when you come back. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I'll give that a shot because I did want to try something else, but I didn't want both things going on at the same time. So now they've got me for, still got me on the books, and I may or may not come back. So, but they have a very clear strategy for all these different places that people could exit.
Yeah.
To keep them hanging around a little bit longer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Streaming services are doing that right now where they're, you try to cancel a Netflix or someplace like that. Hey, you want to just pause it for a few months, and we understand, you may not want to pay that monthly fee. We'll let you pause it for a few months. I think Sling did that for a while when I was on Sling, they would offer you when you tried to, cancel out when it was the end of football season. He was like, all right, I'll see you in August when college football starts up again. But they would say, well, instead of just canceling completely, how about we just pause you for 3 months? And I would do that sometimes just because I don't want the hassle of, canceling completely and then having to go back in, afraid that like you said earlier, the price might go up, know? So I just keep it locked in, but just pause it for 3 months. And then maybe I just go in 3 months and pause it again, But they give you that option, but it's to keep you hanging around. I think that's really smart on their part.
Yeah. Cause even if you got it paused, that means you're less likely to go to the competition.
Yeah.
So even though they're losing money month to month, they don't have to remarket to find a new person to replace you because they know you'll probably come back, like you said, for football season or whatever. And that's still a better strategy than losing you completely.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another stat. For every complaint received, the average company has 26 clients with problems, 6 of which are serious. So for every complaint received, there's at least 6 serious problems and 26 just kind of regular problems.
Right.
And, none of us like to deal with problems,
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh yeah.
but if you can put something in place where you're actively trying to help, like let people know that, hey, if you got a problem, just let us know.
Mm-hmm.
We're happy to help.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunities there to save some customers before they actually go away.
Right. Absolutely.
And even if they still go away, if you try to solve the problem, at least they're probably not going to talk bad about you.
That's right.
I'm not going to blast you on social media or anything else.
No. Yeah.
Like, they'll just kind of forget about you and move on,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or even if they say something about you to a friend or whatever who might be thinking about the same company, they're going to be like, I didn't really like them, but they did try to, help out, but it just wasn't a fit.
Yeah.
Something
and they
like
could,
that.
I mean, there's examples. People can, they will at some point, sometime come back to you.
Yeah.
If you treat them right.
Yeah. Because of that goodwill, which we talked about a little bit in the last show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he's got all kinds of examples of different ways to win back people. What I like is at the end of each chapter, he's got like action steps you can take to implement some of these things.
Here's something that he talks about, just to follow up on the unhappy customer or client experience. So this is dated, but there's a study done by the Research Institute of America. It talks about the average business will hear nothing from 96% of unhappy clients who experience rude or discourteous treatment. So, think about that. Most of the times you don't hear back. You don't hear from them when they're unhappy. So just because you don't hear anything doesn't mean they're not. They haven't.
No news is not necessarily good news.
Exactly. 90% of clients who are dissatisfied with the service they receive will not come back or ever buy again. And to make matters worse, each one of those unhappy clients will tell his experience to at least 9 other people. 13% of unhappy former clients will relate their stories to more than 20 people. Now, take into consideration, this is before social media. So
now it's
multiply that.
Yeah. I mean, think about, we've had a couple, experiences where we've talked about on this show that goes out to, thousands of people, that just in conversation, like, we had a little bit of bad experience with this, the way it was delivered or whatever.
Right.
But we've also done the opposite if you give people a chance. But people are more likely to share negative than they are positive, for sure.
Absolutely. Yep. And they're more likely, like it says, to keep silent, and they're more likely to do it. They like to kind of do it under, behind a keyboard. That's the easiest way to do it, where they're not known to write some bad reviews.
So the thing to do here, so what do you do with this? One of the things you can do is you can just reach out to your list every once in a while, your customer list, and be like, or you can even run reports, like look at who stopped buying in the last 90 days,
right?
And reach out to them and offer, offer a survey, offer, send them a one-off email, asking them why they left and what we could have done better. You may not get them back, but you'll have better information about how to keep people in the future. And like I said, I think a lot of people respect a company that reaches out and asks those kinds of questions.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, they must be at least trying to fix it. So, and a lot of people won't fill out the surveys or stuff like that if you answer, but a few will, and you'll get more intel on how to make your business stronger and healthier and better. What else you got marked in there?
He talks about, I think one other important section is, creating a referral system which,
Yes.
referral systems are so important. If you're not dealing, I mean, if you're not using the power of your happy customers, the people that have enjoyed dealing with you, then that's really an untapped resource that you have at your disposal. People that really, have just loved, the experience.
Yeah.
So you got to utilize that. I mean, people that are talking about you and then, approaching those people and finding out, who they know that they could recommend
Yeah.
for you, because, the best referrals are the ones from, people that are already happy and have had a great experience in doing business with you. So, and I think that is missed online
Oh,
more than ever.
for
Where,
sure.
I mean, how often do you see people that are a satisfied customer that go through their transaction, purchase online, and that they get a follow-up email that says, and I have gotten a few. I mean, it does happen, but those are missed opportunities. People don't get a follow-up email that said, can you do the survey, or can you recommend, who would you recommend? Do a quick survey and offer them some kind of incentive to go through that. I mean, there are ways. I mean, obviously there's things that you're missing out there that you could be taking advantage of.
Well, I mean, some of the companies that I have subscriptions with
Mm-hmm.
that have never asked me for a referral. Now, some
Yeah.
of them even have referral codes and programs and things like that,
Yeah.
but it's all on me to like
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
those out. But they've never asked, hey, you've
Right.
been a customer for a year now, you've been a subscriber for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Who else in your world do you know that would like or enjoy this? We'd like to gift them 90 days
Sure.
as a gift from you. We'll gift them a 90-day
Yeah.
subscription,
Yep.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's got to be a pretty good gift for
Mm-hmm.
that. Like if somebody said a 30-day subscription, I'm like, I don't know if I want to put my name on that. They're going to get rebilled right away.
Oh
It's
yeah.
a little bit of
Yeah.
risk for me, but if you told me 90 days, I'd probably give you a few names for that.
Absolutely.
I'd be like,
Here's the thing, I mean, there's so many things you could do there, but I think about, there's a company that I've purchased from for some golf apparel. So, how easy would it be? Obviously they mark up everything. It's high end stuff. So how easy would it be for them to come back to me, who's purchased a few times, and say, hey, who do you have a buddy we can send you'd like to gift a pair of socks or something like that, something
right.
that's not super expensive that
Yeah.
you would like to send to as a gift. We'll do it on our dime. You don't have to pay, all you got to do is fill out your little information. Hey, maybe a little note or something like that, and
Yeah.
we'll send it to them free of charge. How much, how powerful would that be to send something like that? You could put your name behind it that you actually sent it. So
Yeah. And you could have some pre-made, little scripts of what it would say. Like,
yeah.
I get a monthly subscription to Books, which is a flower delivery
Hmm.
service for my wife.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, I love that.
and they
It's great.
but they've never asked me, hey, would you like to send a free bouquet to somebody else? And we'll tell
Sure.
them it's from you, like, you know, as a gift, mom,
Hmm.
sister, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and that would be, and then they could just put at the bottom, they're going to say, hey, we're going to mention that this is part of a subscription service.
Sure. Yeah.
Check here if that's okay, or something like
Yeah.
that. Like there's ways
Sure.
to build these campaigns
Hmm.
if you just think about it.
Yeah.
And I can tell you I've had a few mishaps with them on delivery, and every time I've called them, they're like, "Yeah, we'll just send you, here's a coupon for a free delivery next month." So
Right.
they're willing to do that. They're willing to give up the cost, but they're not being proactive about it and saying, "Hey, let's do some
Mhm.
referrals."
Absolutely.
So a lot
Yeah.
of people will do this on customer service to repair something, but they're not doing it proactively to
Mhm.
generate, referral
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. They
I'm
always like to get the survey of how they've done from their
yeah,
customer service, but they don't go further on that
yeah,
by saying, you know, I mean, that's good. I mean, that's one step, is getting their feedback on customer service, but another feedback, go a step further and like, hey, if our service has been great, let's move a step further. How how can we help someone who's has a similar interest? Can we send them out something?
Well, I
Can
remember the
we?
old door knocking days,
Yeah.
offline door knocking days. There was this idea of like a clover leaf.
Yep.
And so if you had a customer at one house, then what you would do is you'd go to the house on either side, on the same
Mhm.
side of the street. You go on either side, then you go directly across the street. And you would say, "Hey, we're building a sunroom for this client, Mrs. Jones.
Mhm.
Um, just wanted to let you know it's really cool if you do it proactively. Like, hey, we're starting on this project next month for Mrs. Jones. We're building a new sunroom for her. There's going to be some extra trucks and things, for about 2 or 3 weeks. Just wanted to let you
Right.
know those will be in the street.
Yep.
And by the way, if you ever want something like that, here's our design team, and you can call them."
Sure. Yeah.
And there's so much credibility in that. One, you were being nice and letting them know what's about to happen,
Mhm.
communication, and two, you're getting an implied endorsement from Mrs. Jones that, hey, she picked this company, so they must be okay.
Right.
And that can make a huge.
Mhm.
I'm amazed on our street because we're in one of those neighborhoods where everybody hires a lawn service to cut their lawn.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I'm amazed how these guys drive all over town and they've never knocked on my door to say, "Hey, we're
Crazy.
already doing this house across the street. We've already got our mowers and weed eaters unloaded. Can we just come do
Missed
yours?"
opportunity. I mean, just crazy.
I mean, you could own a block and
Yeah.
spend the whole day there instead of
Yeah.
driving all over town.
Absolutely.
Instead, there's like 16 different landscape companies coming to the same street. One company could go in and own the whole
Just
street.
own the whole neighborhood. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
crazy.
and I think of all the times, especially as someone who someone who hires those, you and I, we have those services done.
Yeah.
Last year, the current company that I have would sometimes miss. They wouldn't be able to make it for whatever reason because they're backed up. And you know what? They missed a day. And there's a guy, like you said, there's a company that's 2 houses down doing theirs. And all they had to do was come down. And I would have said immediately, yeah, knock it out, man. I'll
Yeah.
pay, I'll pay on the spot.
I will say
Just-
the pest control, there's a pest control guy here that they do that. Like
yeah.
they go up and down the street and they're like, "Hey, we've got this person, this person, this person.
Mhm.
We're already here. We'd love to add you. We'll give you a 20% discount because we're already
Sure.
here."
Yeah.
Whether it's a real discount or not, probably
Mhm.
not. But still,
Yeah.
the fact that they're asking
Hmm.
makes me think, okay, this is a proactive company. Let me give them a shot. And I would I think tree companies do a pretty good job at this.
Yes. Yeah, they
They
do.
tend to paper a neighborhood when they're in the
Mhm.
neighborhood. But yeah, for some reason, lawn care, they just don't do a good. Maybe they're so busy they don't need it. I don't know, but they could squeeze in
Well,
an extra 3 yards if they didn't have to drive
well, they're not
everywhere.
maximizing, like you said, they're not maximizing. I think they're so busy because they're going from one end of one end of the city to the other,
Yeah,
when they could be just owning a neighborhood at a time, maximizing their time right
I mean,
there.
yeah,
Just
even if if 1/3 of the house you got the house across the street,
right,
you could hit 2 yards at the same time
right.
without any extra gas
Yeah,
money, without loading, unloading equipment. Like that's a
yeah,
huge difference in profitability.
right.
So yeah, there is a chapter in here about these things called direct mail sales letters, but I think
Mhm.
most people that listen to us know
Yeah.
that's still a thing.
Yep.
Um, but man, there's so much stuff in here. We don't have time to go through it all.
Mhm.
Fish where the big fish are. Like,
The
he's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I would say, the biggest chat. What would you recommend biggest chapters to go through? I mean, referrals is one that everyone, if they get a
Yes.
copy of this book, you should go through referrals. You should go through the guarantee that we talked about at the
Yep.
beginning.
Those 50 questions I mentioned.
Cross selling, 50 questions. What else?
Um, I think there's one, you definitely want to go through the very first chapter. It really lays the foundation of like,
Mhm.
he's got this thing in here, and I've used this hundreds of times where there's only 3 ways to increase, and we did a show not too long ago on this, but there's only 3
Mhm.
ways to increase your business: increase the number of clients, increase the average size of the sales
Right.
per client, increase
Right.
the number of times a client buys. And if you can do all three of those things, if you raise all three of those things by 10%, you'll increase revenue. What is it? 30%. But if you
Yeah.
increase all three of those things 25%, you double your revenue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So understanding that it's not just about number one, which is increasing the number of clients, that it's also increase the average order and increase the average frequency. I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
All three are important, but too much time and energy is spent on number one and not enough on number 2 and 3.
Right. Right.
So that's a big one. Referrals, like you said. Does he get into joint venture type stuff on this one? I mean, it's kind of a referral, but not really.
Yeah. Yeah. He does. I mean, it's kind of like the cross selling a little bit, but yeah.
And I mean, it's hard to pick just like one thing because it's all important.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell my clients all the time, it's never going to be like one thing. There's no silver bullet that's just going to miraculously transform your business. It's a lot of little things done right. And over time, it's sending the emails every week in your newsletter. It's making offers. It's having the guarantee. It's asking for referral. It's the combination of everything all added together.
Yeah.
That really starts to pile up and make big shifts.
And you really have to have systems in place in order to make all of this happen, because if you're counting on just being able to do it yourself or the people that you hire to do it,
you're going to forget.
You're going to forget. They're going to forget. So you got to have systems in place for, whether it's, with your email systems, your follow-up campaigns, your direct response, obviously your direct response, your follow-up from a personalization standpoint, all of those things have to be in a systematic format or they're not going to happen. You're just going to be like, oh, I need to be doing that, but you're not going to do it because, there's only so much time and you get dragged. Our attention gets dragged in so many different directions throughout the day in business that we have a hard time. So we have to be able to set systems up in place that kind of overcome the everyday, minutia that takes place.
Yep.
So,
well, here's what I would say. I would say you can take, this book.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Getting everything you can out of all you've got. And you could spend the rest of the year, you could probably spend the rest of the decade, honestly, going through this and really implementing the different things in here.
Yes.
And absolutely transform your business. You can get a free copy right on his website. I've got if you go on YouTube, you can see on this video at the 58-minute mark, got the address there for a whole bunch of his free profit. Like, this is all free stuff that, other marketers are charging
a lot,
$3,000, $4,000, $10,000 for these types of courses and, this type of information. He's just giving it all away because he makes his real money, like working with businesses and actually building the stuff, not selling information. Although he does do that too. But you can actually get a PDF of the book right there on the page. He's done interviews with just about everybody you can think of, including Damon John. He goes old school with Fran Tarkenton all the way up to kind of current. Yeah,
George guy.
Yep. So,
by the way, that book, The Sticking Point, is actually pretty good too. That's a great book on just. I think that was kind of a latter. I think that was about 10 years ago that book came out. But
it's funny on this site, he actually says, "I recommend you start here." So with the Sticking Point solution, so that's another good one. But they're both. There's more information there than anybody listening will ever implement, including me. I mean, including me and my clients. Like, we're never going to implement all this stuff.
Absolutely.
But you could save yourself a lot of money on courses and seminars and just go through these books.
Just go through those. Bingo.
So,
all right,
man. Did your beer get any better during the show, or did it stay about the same?
It stayed about the same. So the rating will stay the same.
Cool.
How about yours?
Right. Yeah, the sweetness kind of goes away after you keep drinking these Imperial Stouts.
Yeah.
they kind of mellow out a little bit with the air, I think. So yeah, mine's still really good though. It's good.
Good. All right. Well, listen, everyone who was, we'll post a link on the Abraham, website link. They can access those resources. And for all of our listeners, you can find us over at persuasionbythepint.com. That's where you'll find our show notes from this episode. And was this episode like, I think we're on like 252 or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
80,642 or something like that. I don't know. It's a lot.
But check us out. We'll see you guys next time. It's been a lot of fun. And I don't know, Sean, I love the format. We'll have to stick to the picking up a book. We'll have to pick out our next book. But
yeah,
I love kind of discussing some of these old school books that I haven't picked up in a while, going through some of them. So we'll have to do that again.
It's all good information there. So
have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.
See ya.